Hello, good morning. Um, Welcome. So it's Wednesday, the 8th of July, and welcome, 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 welcome. One of the uh, one of the reasons that I enjoy doing these is 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 the reason that I do them, and that's that for me to uh, do this truly truly brings me present in in this moment right now, and to be here, with you, to be here in this moment. The more I do this, the more I realize that that most of us live in a dream world, in a world of what ifs in the future, and a world often of either regret around the past or uh, pride and ego around the past. So many of us are not really here, and 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 we don't know that we're not here. We 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 think we are. We haven't examined our thoughts enough to see that we're that what we think about mostly is the future and the possibilities of the future. Or so we're not really here. We're in our minds, and we miss this moment, and we miss, of course, our full potential, because our true potential can only be in this moment. It can't be in the future. We can't decide what we're going to be like in the future, because there is no future. We're not there. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And we actually have no idea about the future. None. Absolutely none. And so if we're considering ever, um, if if you find yourself thinking about the future, if you find yourself thinking about the future, use that to bring yourself back to this moment. So use it as a signpost. Oh, because in a way, that's crazy. Yes, in a way, that's crazy. We're like. Um, I remember Eckhart Tolle was talking about. Told a story about a lady he met on the subway once, and she was sitting on the subway, and people had moved away from her because she was rambling along and talking to herself quite out loud, and about having conversations with people who weren't there, and about the past and about the future, and he thought, oh my gosh, she's crazy, and they got off the train at the same station, and she was going in the same direction that he was, and she walked into the library or something at Oxford where he was going, and he thought, oh my gosh, who is this lady, um, and then he was standing in the bathroom in the mirror talking to himself, and in his mind, and all of a sudden the words came out of his mouth, whatever he was saying, and somebody who else was in the bathroom said, pardon me, excuse me, and he realized that he was the same as she. She was quite openly discussing matters of the future with whoever happened to be around in her delusioned mind, but And we've all seen, we all know people that are like that, don't we? Or we've seen them, we go, oh my gosh, I hope that never happens to me. But we're already doing it. We're just not speaking it out loud. We're already living in the delusion. So how do we get to the now? And I'm here to tell you that in the process, there is some fear that will come up, because there's comfort in our delusion. We've made up whole scenarios about ourselves from the past and the future. We can't trust our own thinking. And there's comfort in that thinking. There's comfort in this idea that we know the future. And so we're never really here, because we're living in this illusion of the future. And so, yeah. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Toby. So here we are. How do we be here now? Well, the first step is to recognize that we don't know. Is in the surrender. The first step is in the surrender. Recognizing that, we do not know. From that place, from that deluded place of thinking we know the future, we try to manage our life. And there's just no possibility to imagine. We cannot even possibly manage the millions of possible scenarios that can happen in our lives. Just can't. So we've been living this lie most of our lives. And we were kind of told the lie, that we could rely on our intellect, and many of us got a lot of education, hoping to be able to figure out, and yet the possibility that I'm discussing, and also I believe all of my teachers discussed. Eckhart Tolle discusses, Mooji discusses, Ram Dass when he was alive, Alan Watts when he was alive, and they're all still available on YouTube. They discuss, how do we connect with the moment? Because all of the power, all of the knowing is in the moment. You too. Everything is in the moment. Be here now, Kathy Lynn. Be here now. Right now. Think, if you ever had a car accident, and how present you get, and how, right on the money, or you're visiting a family or friend in the hospital and you're really there with them. And you feel different. It feels like you're actually in your body and you're here right now. So ego, though, does not want to give up the illusion. And there will be, there could be some struggle. Just watch. Be here now. First, though, identify the thoughts, and that we're living in, and having full conversations with imaginary people in the future. How silly is that? All right? But there it is, and it's defended. It really is. So my encouragement is to be here now. And it's so simple. In this moment, there's nothing missing. Absolutely nothing. This is the perfect world in this moment. Everything's exactly as it's supposed to be. In our delusion, we think, though, oh, this should happen this way, or that should happen that way, or they should, they should be doing this, or we're full of I shoulds and they shoulds and woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's all illusion. It's not true. Nothing but this moment is true. So be here now. Practice it. With your breath. The breath brings you into the moment. Yes, brings me into the moment. For me, doing these talks in the morning brings me into the moment. Like, yeah, here. Yes. Okay. So July the 8th, thought for the day, we read from this little book. And I just want to share, next Monday night, we're still going to have our meditation online, But I'm inviting you to come to the house. You can wear a mask if you like, and there won't be a big group. I'm sure there maybe a half a dozen, but I'd love you to come here, and we'll set up outside if it's nice. And yeah, so we can still make plans for the future in the possibility that we arrive there. Yeah, just be here now. So just maybe sit back, whatever you're doing, close your eyes, and just listen to this little reading. July the 8th, thought for the day. AA members or 12-step members will tell you that they can look back and clearly see that they were out of control long before they finally admitted it. That's what I'm saying. You know, it's in our thinking. Because our thinking is based on selfishness. It's all based on the perception of the world that surrounds us, only us. So it's very limited. Every one of us has gone through that stage when we wouldn't admit that we were alcoholics. And for us, alcoholics is out of control. And not that we're ever really in control, but when we surrender to the moment, we surrender to our higher power, we're in freedom. We're in freedom. It is freedom. We can relinquish control. It's a bit of a conundrum. It takes a lot of punishment to convince us, he says. But one thing is certain, we all know from actual experience that when it comes to dishing out punishment, booze and drugs has no equal. Have I any reservation as to my status as an alcoholic? So this is written 1954. It's interesting how he describes things. But basically he's saying that we can't run the show. And, we certainly know we can't drink and use if we're alcoholic or addict. But we can't run the show. And that takes a while for some of us to really get. We go get an education sometimes so that because we think if we have an education, we will be able to manage our lives. Good luck. Or we set it up in such a limited way. We create a container that we can live in such a limited way that it feels secure. But there really is no security. We have no control. No security. There's only this moment. That's our security. The system, look at what's happened in our world in the last 3 months. Totally upside down. Some of us are realizing that, my God, it's not ever going to go back to the way it was. It's a new normal, whatever that is. And so we're trying to find security in that. And pretty great lesson for us all that we don't know anything. A massive scale. We see how, the world just does what it wants in each moment. Didn't check in with us. Right? So, use that. It's a huge lesson for all of us. Meditation for the day. There is a force for good in the world. And when you are cooperating with that force for good, good things happen to you. How do we cooperate with that force for the good? Well, we have to be present. We have to be here to cooperate. We have to listen, to say yes. In the 12-step world, we say we do the next right thing. How do we know the next right thing? Well, we're listening. We're seeing the difference between our crazy thinking and our intuition and our connection with God in the moment. And that's how we do it. It says here, we have a free will, the choice to be on the side of the right or on the side of the wrong. Now, he's a little tied up in right and wrong, but, I'll let him have it. This force for the good we call God's will. God has a purpose for the world, and He has a purpose for your life. He wants you to bring all your desires into oneness with His desires. Be here now, in this moment. Beautiful, eh? He can only work through people. I'm not so sure about that, but in our perception, He can only work through people. If we try to make God's will our will, we will be guided by Him. Hello. We'll be guided by Him. He will be in the stream of goodness. You will be in the stream of goodness, carried along by anything that is right. You will be on God's side. Let me read that last line again. If you try to make God's will your will, you will be guided by Him. So that's what I'm saying. Be here now. We can only feel God's will if we're listening and if we're here. So be here through prayer, be here through meditation, be here through self-realization, through consciousness that often when we're running the show, we're not here. Not often, always we're not here when we're trying to control. You'll be in the stream of goodness, carried along by everything that is right. You will be on God's side. His description of God's side and not is a little limiting, but we'll go with it, It's be here now, really. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may try to make God's will my will. I pray that I may keep in the stream of goodness in the world. Yes. It's beautiful, eh? So that's the deal. It's a kind of a lifelong thing. And we take the time to sit in the morning and watch our thoughts, until we finally identify that often what our thoughts are doing is just making up story after story after story. Story about the past, story about people, story about the future. It has no idea. It's all just grasping. Has no idea. So we can't trust it. And what we can trust is this moment in our now relationship. And we learn to come back to this moment over and over again. It's like it really is a process of coming back to this moment, coming back to this moment. When we're in our shoulds, we come back. When we're, in fear, we come back. When we're in anger, we come back. And when we're in complaint, we come back to this moment. And surrender, let go. Hawkins said, let go. So there's so many great teachers that teach us this. This is where life really happens. This is where life really happens, in the moment. Okay, you guys. Love you lots. Thank you. And be here now. And don't take it too seriously. Just, even don't hold on to that too tightly. Just do what we can in each moment to be here now and to recognize when we're not. Okay, love you lots.